here again. Welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to take you on a walkthrough of the garden. Today, it's April 17th, and I have just finished putting in the last two beds and at least cutting the irrigation drip line. I'm holding off on actually hooking it up to the main line so it'll drip until I get my garden staples and I can actually nail down those little suckers so that they will not jump all over when I let them go. Let's start over here at the north end. You can see that I've got a fair assortment of vegetables here in bed number 4. I've got one comfrey plant there in the background. I've decided to leave him alone for now, but I've put in various things: zucchini, I should say, squash, green beans, and over here at the end, a watermelon. It's looking pretty sad, but it should recover. Above bed number 4, of course, you've seen bed number 1 before, and I've got a good amount of vegetables in there. The rhubarb, which was looking sad when I first put it in, is actually perking up and looking pretty good. So maybe we'll get something in a couple years for rhubarb. Let's move on to the south. And we'll start with that upper bed, number 2. And the post is in the way. Number 2 is restricted to carrots and radishes, except for I had a little space at the end that it didn't make sense to continue my radish row out, so I threw in an extra acorn squash that I had sitting on the table. Below bed number 2, of course, is bed number 5, which you've seen before. I've got lettuce. Oh, there's my little gem lettuce. I have to check on that. Lettuce and beets and all sorts of good things. I'd have to read off the signs and look on my list. Spinach. Not really fond of spinach, but I'll eat it. And I'm growing it. Carrots. I'm sure there's radishes in there as well. There's radishes all over the garden. I still have one plant to put in these beds, or 2 plants. I've got some flowers that I want to put in. Not so much because I want to have flowers, it's just for pest control. Marigolds and what's the other one? Oh, and let's turn around. Of course, behind us against the house is bed number 8. I think I showed you that earlier. And you can see why I want those garden staples. You see the drip lines that I would put in here. They're just kind of up in the air. I want to get them down to the ground where they actually do some good. And also laid out instead of curling up. That's the problem with this stuff. It comes on a spool and it doesn't want to unspool very well. Continuing south, here on the lower bed, we've got bed number 6. It's probably one of our smaller beds. Bed number 6, we've got beets and scallions and beans, I think. I've only put beans over here at this one end. I've got big spaces for beans there between the posts and beyond the posts. That I'm holding off on planting those, so I will actually have succession planting. We'll do the middle and the other end at some point soon, in a week or 2. Up above bed number 6 is, of course, is bed number 3. It's one of my first beds that I put in. It has lots of good things in it. Those garlic that I put in very first thing are looking kind of sad. We'll see if they recover. If they don't, no big deal. It's really something I probably ought to put in the fall because it is a cool weather crop. Bed number 7. This little odd-shaped bed here at the top. I finally got the blocks finished on it. Didn't have to replant anything, of course, because they're already planted. I've got various things, acorn squash and what are the other ones? Pumpkin and broccoli kind of in that bed. Going here to the end, bed number 9. Bed number 9, of course, the big old potato plants there in the middle. They're kind of volunteered from last year. But other than that, I've got cabbage and lettuce in this bed. Hopefully it'll take off. I see some lettuce down there at the very end. Let's go down and look at that. Starting to pick out. You can see the line of lettuce, so that's a good thing. I don't see, maybe cabbage, I don't know. We'll be able to tell by next week. Things are just starting to poke out of the ground, so it's hard to tell. Let's turn around again and go to our final bed, bed number 10. Of course, I've cut the drip lines for that, but I don't want to stake it out until I get my garden pins. And then I'll connect it up to the main line, which is sticking out there, kind of sneaks under the deck. In this bed, I've got some cherry tomatoes that are looking kind of sad right now. They didn't really like transplanting, but they'll recover. They have before. I've got some romaine lettuce and kale in this row. Actually, there's a couple rows of each. I'm debating whether I want to try to sneak something else in, but for now, this is what I'm going to have. It's the kind of the shadiest spot around in the garden, so I don't want to put anything that requires a lot of sunlight. The tomatoes are kind of borderline, but the directions on the tomato packet said that, well, they can tolerate shade, and this site does get 4 or 5 hours of good sun, so we'll see. As far as the kale and the cabbage, they said if you want them not to bolt in the summer, shade is good. So that's why I decided to put them here. Well, that's it for right now in the garden. I'll take one more step for you that I haven't shown you before. Up on the deck, we got a lot of cleanup to do here that I've been avoiding. I have quite a few seedlings left over. And I've got a couple of big pots that I've planted, one with a tomato, as well as some radishes that are starting to come up. And the other one that I started before winter even broke, inside carrots. And that was just an experiment. We'll see how the carrots turn out in a couple more weeks maybe. But right now it's going gangbusters. As far as all these extra pots that you see stacked here, well, guess what? I still have things to plant, and guess what I'll be doing here over the next week or two at my leisure. I'll be planting more vegetables in the pots, and I expect that where I will put these are down on the patio once I get it cleaned up against the edge of the other planters, and maybe down the way, just wherever it looks like they'll fit. Last year I actually put them up against the fence. That didn't work all that well. So I'm going to try something a little different this year. That's all I've got. You can see I'm in the middle of cleaning up. I've got piles of leaves and brush and stuff, and I actually need to go ahead and sweep the patio, and then I've got lots of work, and I'm still expecting a couple of things to come in to go into the garden, but right now we're looking like we're in pretty good shape, and that's what I wanted to show you. As we start seeing plants coming out, I will continue to film and talk about what's going on in some old man's garden. I hope you enjoyed the walk through my garden today. It's coming along, and as you follow me with additional episodes, I'm sure you'll see a lot going on with the garden growing. If you think this content was interesting, leave a comment, hit the like button, subscribe, and join me next time as I share my life and thoughts. Some old man